Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we are working on our advisor script and we need to create a variable task for this to do here. A pause scenario where the script deactivates, in quotes, and waits for you to do something before coming back. So, the question then becomes, how do we want to implement this? And the answer is, we obviously first want to implement this via, and I mean at this point this is like private variables, so we want to implement this via some sort of a private delegate, and this isn't going to be, well, I think this delegate is definitely going to return a bool, because we need to know, are we continuing to pause, or are we going? It's a binary choice. So private delegate bool, and this will be something along the lines of... Let's see here. What type of method are we going to call? We don't exactly have... So, okay, I have this this code snippet here that I was working with, but I'm just wondering... Okay, let me just... I've never implemented this before, so let me just implement this the way they have. I don't think it's going to fully work unless test delegate is built in, which I don't think it is. Oh, are we just declaring test delegate here? If that's the case, then I'm going to call this await delegate, which should be fine. And so if we're declaring that, then we should be able to say private await delegate, and then we'll call this just simply delegate. Oh, no, wait, that's a reserved word. We'll just call this method. Okay. So that should allow us to do a variable method, and we should also probably have a private bool awaiting delegate, and we're going to default that to false. There we go. And we are also going to need a private void update. And inside of this update, we're basically going to say if awaiting delegate, then we are going to say if method, that's returning an error. Because we need to do something along the lines of run delegate method. We need to do something like that, which means we're going to need another function here, and this will be private, this will be a bool, not a ball, a bool, run delegate, and this is going to be await delegate method, and we'll need, nope, not that curly brace, we'll need that curly brace, there we go. And then this is simply going to be return method, like that. So now we can pass in, if I scroll back up, now we can pass in a variable method here. And if this returns true, then awaiting delegate equals false. And then we can, at that point, re-enable the advisor window, I believe? Let's double check that. Because I think we're just going to hide the advisor window when we're awaiting. So then, yeah, advisor window would be fine. Also, we should do if awaiting delegate and method is not equal to no. There we go. We'll fix that there. So then, here we can just go ahead and say... The question is, do we advance here, or do we advance before we turn it off? I think we advance here. So current index plus plus. I need a semicolon. So current index plus plus, and then advisor window dot game object dot enabled. Wait, no, they deprecated that, didn't they? Set active, true. Okay. And then we need to update UI. Okay, so there we go. And then the question is, how are we going to go about putting in pauses and methods and things like that? Well, first thing we can do is we can move this into its own class. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to create a new C# script here, and I'm going to call this advisor script element. There we go. And we are going to need using Unity engine.ui. There we go. I don't think this needs to be a mono behavior, but we can definitely do system.serializable. There we go. We are not going to need a start or an update. And where is our advisor script here? Here it is. Excellent. So what do we need on this? Well, we obviously need what we have here. So a list of string texts and a list of images. So public list string texts equals new list string. Public list, and this is going to be of a sprite. Sprites equals new list sprite. There we go. Oh, do not need that. Okay. So we can now also grab this text area here and place that there so that that is exactly the same. And then we can actually eliminate this here and replace this with a public list of advisor script elements. And we'll call this elements equals new list advisor script element. Okay, so obviously this is going to create some errors because of all of this here. So let's just go ahead and say if current, and we actually don't need to check this multiple ways if we're doing it this direction. So this is actually fine. If current index is less than elements.count, because we know for a fact we'll have the same number of elements and images ish. So elements, wow, I cannot type. Elements.count, I'm just going to copy that. There we go. Advisor image.sprite would then equal elements current index dot sprite dot sprites current index. Wait a second. What am I doing? It needs to just be sprite. This is not a list. This is one element. What am I doing? This is a string called text. There we go. And this is simply a sprite called sprite. There we go. Wow. What am I even doing? Okay, so text's current index would then be elements current index. And then advisor text.text would then equal elements current index dot text. Like so. And then we've got one more. If current index, so this would be elements dot count. Okay. So we are about to lose all of our text. So there's that. But this is going to be a much more robust system. So we can then do things like, for example, we can have a, let's see here, we can have a public bool pauses on next equals false, just by default. That can be a toggle. And then what else would we need? We would need ourselves a delegate, theoretically, in here that we could call. Right? I think. Public delegate bool. And then this would be... is this only declared within the scope of this class? That's what I'm wondering. This await delegate? I feel like it is, but let's see how that shows up in the inspector. So we are definitely losing all of our text here. That is well known. And yeah, it's completely gone. So we then can do this, and we've got that, and yeah, it just doesn't show up in the inspector as a delegate, which is a little bit unfortunate. So I would kind of like for us to be able to make a subclass of the advisor script, and then create an await delegate method within that. If that makes any sense. So the question then is, how can we go about doing that? Well, the real question is, how do we link up the delegates here? This doesn't show up in the inspector, which I expected that it wouldn't show up in the inspector. One thing that we should definitely do is when we do our onAdvanced script, let's see, this is all done. Actually, instead of doing this here, we should probably just set it to active and then run onAdvanced script here. And then in onAdvanced script, we can go ahead and say if elements current index dot pauses on next, then we would say something along the lines of awaiting delegate equals true. And we will actually need some brackets here, because this is going to be multi-line here. So awaiting delegate equals true, and then just return. We don't want to do the rest of this. So, okay, I just realized that we're never going to be able to advance, and it's always just going to return. Like, this is going to loop. Unless we put in a public bool already paused equals false. That'll do the trick, I guess. And then here, elements current index dot already paused equals true. And then here, and not elements current index dot already paused. Okay. There we go. So now theoretically that'll work. We don't have... We're not currently assigning the method. And so my question is, if we have the delegate here, so public delegate bool, and this would be public delegate bool. Wow, I cannot remember what I called it. Await delegate. Wow. Await delegate. And then something along the lines of... Well, we would need basically just the same thing, except I would probably make this, rather than private, I would make this be a public await delegate. Does that show in the inspector? No. Okay. So then the question is, how do we set this await delegate method if we can't set it in the inspector? Let me see here. I'm checking. This can be accomplished with Unity events. Okay. Using Unity engine dot events. And then we would do public Unity event, and this would be something along the lines of... how do I want to do this? It's not a mono behavior. It's not going to be attached in that way. I think that this isn't going to work quite like how I would like it to. I want to do an actual delegate in the inspector. Okay, that's using Unity events. And then a custom inspector. But that's all assuming that we're in a mono behavior, which I do not want this to be a mono behavior. Maybe we can do it as, like, static? So, like... I mean... Can we pass in a static event? Like, a static method? Let's test quick. Private static bool test method. So, like, it would be like that, and then you would do, like, just return false. And then we would have, and then we would just pass it in here. So, like, method equals test method. We can pass in a static. Okay. Do we want to pass in a static, though? Can we get access to our variables that we need? Like, for example, the first one that I'm thinking of here is it just waits until you change this here. Can we get a reference to this text box in a static method? I doubt it. It's interesting to know that that's possible, though. To be sure. Okay. So then, here's the thing. What I want to do at this point is create a new folder, and we will call this Advisor. And I'm just going to move these straight on in here. And we are going to create... There we go. We're going to create a C# script, and I'm going to call this tutorial script again. And inside of here, basically all we're going to do is make this a subclass of advisor script. So as of right now, it's literally just an advisor script. And then if we come into our scripts here and remove our advisor script and add in our tutorial script, then you can see that it is exactly the same thing. We would need to reset up the UI components. Now we can make these automatically set up, but for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So advisor window, advisor image, advisor text, next button, previous button, skip button. There we go. And then we will go ahead and run with 2 elements for right now. And these are currently not going to say anything, and they don't have a sprite, but that's okay. I just want to do pauses on next. And the question then is, how do we grab... Well, actually, let's just test real quick. Let's grab our... Oh, right, it would have closed them because I moved them into a different folder and it wasn't sure where they were. Okay, so let's just let's try grabbing when we pause on advanced script here. Let's do method equals elements current index dot method. Cannot implicitly convert type advisor script element.await delegate to advisor script.await delegate. Yep, I thought that might be the case. So, in that case, this isn't going to work per se. What if, out of curiosity, this was advisor script.await delegate? Is this set to a private? It is. What if we make the delegate public? Yeah, this isn't going to work, apparently. Type or namespace name await delegate could not be found. So, yeah. I don't suppose I can make it static? No. Okay. So we're going to have to figure out a different way to do this, absolutely. Can we store the delegate as... Because I absolutely want to store the delegate inside of the advisor script element, so that then we can, you know, choose different I mean... So if we can't access either delegate from the other class, maybe what we need to do is create ourselves a superclass, advisor object, like so, and the only thing it has in it is the delegate. That should work, right? Hypothetically? So we grab this, place it in here, and that's all it has. And then we make this be of type advisor object. I mean, they're both going to end up being mono behaviors, doing it that way. And then here, we would make this also be advisor object. We would get rid of that. And it seems to compile. And then I suppose we could write our pause methods here. Could write pause methods here. That would be fine. So, I mean, it compiles. We could also write our pause methods... Yeah, writing them there would be fine. What does that do to our inspector? Let's head in here and see if we're still inspecting this correctly. No. We are not, because they're now mono behaviors. That's what I was afraid of. One of them wants to be a mono behavior, one of them doesn't. So, I mean, this compiles, but it's not exactly what we're looking for. We would need to create prefabs, essentially, for each element. Is that the worst? Because, I mean, we could go into our prefabs here, and we could create a folder, advisor, and then we could create a new prefab, and call it test advisor prefab. There we go. Although this did not create a game object. It's just an empty prefab. So we would just create an empty here, test advisor prefab, and then we would, might as well put it at 000, no reason not to, and then add component advisor script element. There we go. And then toss this guy on in here, and then we can delete it, and then we can modify our element here, and we can say something along the lines of you know, basically what we had before. Align equals center, I think, is the syntax that I used. And then size equals 46. Or not 46, 32. And then bold. Welcome to your new logistics company. And then we unbold. Nope. There we go. And then align equals left. Size equals 12. Test, test, test. Okay. And then we would be able to just drop that in here. Now, I don't like that workflow nearly as much, but it does allow us to set up our... Well, I mean, the delegate doesn't appear yet, so we would need to still do a Unity event here. So that would be doable, though. Now that it's a mono behavior, it's a possible thing. So I think, yeah, this is going to be fine. However, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we will implement the Unity event. See you all then.